What is good, y'all? It is Jimble Jamble back after a couple week hiatus. I had some stuff going on, but we are back. Got a big arsenal for y'all coming soon as well, so stay tuned for that. But today, Nats. Nats happened just this past weekend, and it's vital to be talked about when it comes to the card games meta. It's the biggest tournament in America. The top players with the top decks are going to be there all the time. So, we're going to go over, the top 32 deck lists. We're going to go over, one of each deck list, and then a couple of my boys, Frijoles and GTS, got top 32. So, congrats to them. But before we get into all that stuff, hit that like button, hit that sub button. You know what to do. Let's get to it. Alrighty, y'all, so we got the pie chart put up here, and just to see from first glances, it's a very diverse, pie chart. In the past couple formats we've had, this whole thing being like 2 or 3 decks, but we have 5 kind of, real stars of the show at Nats, which is really good to see. But, all the decks are really dumb in their own ways, but that's besides the point. You can see we got some other crazy one-ofs as well, but obviously starting off, most popular, Rayleigh checks out. It's kind of the most popular meta deck there is. Followed by Green Zoro. It's really just these two that are being played the most, at least compared to Bonnie and Snake Man. But these 4 were kind of expected. Rayleigh, Zoro, Bonnie, and Snake Man. Those were the 4 kind of expected ones to possibly even win the entire thing, which was the case. All 4 of these were in top 4, I believe. But following up, little sneaker, Green Purple Luffy, my boy, at 4 copies, which is kind of crazy to be honest. The deck has kind of fallen off because of, decks like Rayleigh, like Zoro, like Bonnie. Those are really rough matchups for Grape. But, the deck's still very consistent in almost everything else. So, that's kind of a really good, starting point. If you want to get into the competitive scene around now, I would recommend Green Purple Luffy because of, its super consistent matchup spread. It's a lot like Shanks. Very, very few real bad or good matchups, but the rest are like 50-50, maybe like 55-45 type stuff. But anyway, good deck nonetheless. And then, yep, that's what I said too. You're like, what the hell is he doing here? Yellow Katakuri made it into top 8 actually, so that's fun to see. Followed by Anil, Yamato, Betty, and Red Green Smoker, which I was not expecting to be in the top tables, but I love to see it. But I will say this is also used by Eggman Events, so I'll link that in the description if you want to check that out in your own time. But we're gonna get into some deck lists. Alrighty, first place we got Green Zoro by Richard, and this was kind of expected. This is like one of the most popular meta decks in the game. We kind of expected this to possibly just straight up win the entire thing. Easy clap, everybody, which it did. But what's different, this list is very strange. You can just already see there's a couple real outsider cards, like this Rika, East Blue Rika, this East Blue Searcher Nami, which I think is very spicy, and also this 2K Hotshon. But really, other than that, it's just a super generic standard Zoro list. You got your Searchers, add your green events, you have your Slash Protection, you have your generic 2Ks, your crazy resting tools, your good general 5 costs, and obviously a bit of top end, and then just the green events. It's really just that, but with a couple extra, little tech options. I think Richard was definitely cooking something up with this. You're able to search a huge chunk of your deck with Nami. You can search the Rika, Koshiro, the 2K, Kuina, like a whole chunk of this you can actually search with Nami. So I think that is pretty spicy. But other than that, just super standard Zoro list. But regardless, congrats to Richard for the W at Nats, and he is going to Worlds, so good luck with him there. Alrighty, next up we got Aaron's Rayleigh list in second place, runner up. He is also going to Worlds, so congrats to him. But I mean, this is a very standard A list. I mean, there's nothing really too special going on. It's really just a matter of how you play Rayleigh personally, like how you realize, hey, this is what I need to do in this situation, because this deck is very hard to pilot at times. At least from the games that I've tested this deck with, there's definitely some moments where like, oh, if I do this incorrectly, I just lose on the spot. But I mean, it's got searchers galore. You know, you got Nami Searcher, Shaku Search, Buggy Search, Boa Search. You even have cards like Observation Hockey, the Conqueror's Hockey. This card came up a lot in the final match, which, you know, is really good against a deck like Green Zoro, because you're minusing your opponent's leader, which is huge. And then you obviously got the good generic, you know, good rush cards, the Rush Zoro, the Kid Killer, you name it. All the good general, you know, small weenie rush down good stuff. And obviously, Mulgun, you have to run it. And I mean, it's just a general Rayleigh list. I mean, nothing really else to say there, but congrats to Aaron. So third place was Yoast on Snake Man Luffy, which, I mean, I definitely expected this to be in the top tables, and it did not disappoint. It is kind of just a general Snake Man list. There are a few crazy tech options like this 3-drop Dofi. You know, you can stack your deck, know what you're going to be possibly top decking next turn for your leader ability. And also, you know, you're running good general ramp cards, Zorjuro, Bon Clay, you know, Gear 2, God Thread, Bagua, all that good ramp stuff. You always, obviously, this deck is just ramping into 9-cost Sanji spam, which is pretty good, I've heard. But you can obviously see down here, that's a spicy card. Later, a character gains a K power for the turn, and then you draw a card. And then the trigger, look at top 5, and you get to rearrange it, top or bottom, which I think is really spicy. If you get this and trigger the turn before you leader effect, you know what you're going to be seeing next turn. And you're not going to, you know, have to worry about, hey, I'm going to whiff this. Like, if you know your top 5 for the upcoming turn is bad, you can just bottom deck it. You're good. And then you just hopefully see the gas, such as like Mihawk, 8-drop Luffy, 8-drop Dofi into, you know, Rosinante, all that good stuff. I mean, the deck is just super consistent still. I mean, it's just the real powerhouse cards like the Cat and Big Mom are gone. So, but regardless, congrats to Yoast for that 3rd place finish. Alrighty, so 5th place, just out of top 4 reach, was the Green Yellow Yamato by long, which is kind of a sleeper pick, to be honest. This meta is definitely very weak to Yamato. I mean, you got good general Hody Jones. I mean, you're playing a green deck. Same with Dead Man's Game. You can run both those cards in here, as long with the 0 cost. And, I mean, it's just general Wano, you know, go crazy on lead with your leader. I mean, you kind of just rely on your leader effect the entire game. There is a little spicy here with the Mihawk. You can play a slash 4 or less. You can play this Hawkins out and, you know, kind of negate a KO pretty much, because they obviously more than likely don't want to get rid of this thing. And they're going to trash a life card. I mean, it's pretty brutal for the opponent. Same with this Kiku, of course. You're healing a life. And then you can play out this Kinemon if you want, but it's really just meant for a 2K. That can also be a body in life if that comes up. And then you got some generic little upper end cards, the Rush Momo, the Blocker Momo. You know, just a good general Wano list. You know, you're giving your leader Banish 24/7. You're boosting your leader with the Tonoyasu. And I mean, just a general, you know, Yamato list. But congrats to Long for that 5th place finish. Alrighty, 6th place, we got Jimmy with Yellow Cat. I was never going to see this deck coming into the top tables, let alone at all. I didn't think a single person would show up with it, but I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can do anything with any deck. I mean, that's what's really good about this game. But anyway, general, you can just see general good yellow card, good stuff deck. I mean, it's, you know, pudding, you can search your Big Mom cards. Zeus is actually a searchable card in this deck because this is a Big Mom card, so that's huge. You have Onami, give your leader banished, you can swing 7, Brule, get a trigger for a blocker, Bej in 0 cost, you're running it. Same with Brule, the other Brule. It's a top life card rearrange on trigger. You have the Parasparrow on KO Searcher. You have the Hawkins. Don't want to deal with that. Same with the Kiku. Nami for, you know, good general removal in yellow. That's kind of what yellow was kind of missing the whole time. And then you have to utilize this Kuma. I mean, this Kuma's really, really strong in this meta. You know, on KO, heal a life for free. I mean, it's really good. And then you have, obviously, the 8-drop Kid, only one copy, but, you know, one's better than none. Trash card from their life. Same with the 10 Mom. The reason to play the deck, honestly. If this card didn't exist, this deck would be ass, but regardless, congrats to Jimmy for, you know, the 6th place finish. Real good stuff. You know, love seeing the rogue decks show up in top tables. Alrighty, so we got Green Bonnie, top 8 by Steel. And I definitely expected this deck to potentially win the whole thing, but it only got a top 8. This is the top finish. But, you know, this deck is still really good. You can see there's a lot of types in this deck. You know, this deck is really toolboxy. You know, you're kind of adapting to the meta all the time, because this leader, I see this leader as kind of a green Shanks, where it's just a super consistent deck. It's always going to be good in some capacity. I mean, Shanks is still good to this day. It did not hit in top tables, unfortunately, but you know, that's kind of just what I see it as. Is the good generic monocolor leader for green. So other than that, I mean, it's a general, you know, Bonnie deck. I mean, you got your searchers, you have general 2Ks you can maybe add or just draw, get some lucky stuff going on. You got some blockers for protection. You have, you know, ways to set your Dawn active with these 3 4 and 5 drops. You have, you know, you're able to freeze cards, you're able to rest cards, you're able to set your Dawn back to active with bigger bodies. You're able to, you know, lock down your opponent from, you know, pretty much winning the game on the spot. Same with this one. You're locking your opponent out of winning the game. If, you know, if they don't do a thing about this, you win on the spot, I think, most of the time. You have, you know, any rested character removal, and then you have crazy wide board freezing. I mean, just really good cards. I mean, if this deck had just a bit more generic of searchability, or just more strong cards of the same archetype, I think this deck would be unbelievable. But I think that's just the main problem that this deck has, just some searchability. But regardless, congrats to Steel for the top 8 finish. Alrighty, next up, top 16. We got Smoker, played by Mrolas. This leader is super generic. Just if you have a 7k character on your board, set 2 non-active, activate main every turn. Which is kind of disgusting, to be honest, in this meta. You know, you're setting up Dawn for, you know, counter events, such as, you know, Dead Man's Game and Igloo. But you have ways to set even more Dawn active with cards like Mihawk and Smoker. And, you know, just even this Bonnie, you know, you're setting a Dawn active with this as well. And this card gives you filter, which is definitely what Smoker needed. The Smoker definitely gets bricky at times, so giving red-green a filter option is huge. But other than that, you're kind of just running general good Navy stuff. I mean, Navy and Punk Hazard. Have Peacock Searcher, Kujaku, whatever you want to call her. Add a Navy card. Virgo, search Punk Hazard cards. You know, good general little red cards here. Anti-removal cards, good blockers, good 7k specific bodies. You know, good removal there. Obviously, Hody, you have to run it in some capacity. And then abusing this card is disgusting, I think. And then Mulgun, you got to run it for removal. This deck needs removal 100%. But regardless, I mean, it's just a general good little Smoker list. But regardless, congrats to Mrolas for the finish. Alrighty, next up, we got my boy, my goat, Green Purple Luffy. This deck is super consistent. I mean, there's nothing else I can really say. I mean, you run, I believe, 4 different searchers in the deck. Or no, 3, sorry. But you have the Nami, Zorajuro, and the at-sea searcher. All this adds the card. The only reason to really play this deck, Sanji Pudding. And you're more than likely going to find this at some point in time. If if you see enough of these searchers, you're gonna find this card 100%. And if you have both of these, your leader effect is free, quote unquote. So, real strong stuff there. But, you know, you got some general 2Ks you can add. Frankie for some, you know, get some extra ramp back. If you only have maybe one of this on the board, you can play this out afterwards. And, you know, get that other Dawn back after using your leader effect. I thought 3 green Zoro was kind of interesting, but I definitely can understand why you would run it at 3 at least. You would, Rayleigh going around. It's definitely the most popular deck to choose, and this definitely helps go against that stuff. I mean, your opponent has 2 or more characters. It has character rush, which is very easy to see against Rayleigh, and on play rest of 4 cost, you're able to get some board clearance in there. And you got obviously the boy Luffy Taro into Sanji Pudding is a nasty combo still to this day. And other than that, I mean, it's just a bunch of good generic events. I mean, Dead Man's Game actually searchable in here, which is kind of disgusting. And Bagua, you're able to add Dawn back. Same with the Rashomon. Actually, this is kind of an interesting card. KO 2 rested characters with a cost of 4 or less, which is pretty good. Then Luna, you got to run it for Rayleigh. I definitely think this guy was running this list kind of to counteract Rayleigh. Regardless, congrats to GHC for the top 16 finish. Alrighty, next up we got a guy I don't like, Anel. It got just 1 top 16 finish, so that's good for my own morale boost. It gives me a nice little morale boost there. But you can see this list is kind of weird, and I believe I saw a deck profile of this not too long ago of it being some sort of an aggro style kind of thing going on, and I definitely could see why you would do that. I mean, you have the 5 cost removal for decks like Zoro, like Rayleigh, like Green Purple Luffy. You have the Hawkins, you're able to just keep the body the whole game, or they're trashing a life. Same with the Kiku, free body, and you're going to heal a card, and that is not good if you're up against an L if they heal a card. So, and then you also have the new Kuma, you're running that. I thought the 6-drop Robin was interesting, but I definitely don't understand why, but it's definitely a spicy option. I definitely could see against Snake Man, you're just trashing their first life on 6, which is kind of gross. But other than that, you're not running too standard of top end. I mean, it's really just this 8-drop Cat and only 2. Same with this 8-drop Rush Dofi, which I thought was very spicy for at least an aggro kind of list. You're dropping the Kid, make him trash a life, and then it has filter every turn. If you have multiple of these on the board, you get like draw 2 or 3, and then trash 3, which is really gross. And then obviously, Anel, you're running the card. The card is busted. And you can see right here, Arc Maxim at 1. This is really, really strong against Rayleigh. Even though it's already a good matchup, I mean, you might as well. You may rest this card in one of your Nell cards, KO all of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. That is so gross. If you're up against Rayleigh, I mean, you just kind of win on the spot if you see that card. But other than that, it's just some general good yellow stuff. And regardless, congrats to Bark for Nami for getting that top 16 finish. So next up, we got Bello Betty, which I was not expecting to see, to be honest. I mean, the deck is kind of dead with, there's a lot more removal going around. Bonnie has a good matchup into it, and, Snake Man is kind of a bit worse. So this deck was really good in 11 just because of Snake Man being so prominent. But since it's not as much anymore, I mean, the deck's not really as strong, hypothetically. But, I mean, DIZ or Diz, whatever his name is, however you pronounce it, I mean, he delivered. I mean, it's just a standard Betty list. I mean, nothing really to explain there. You got some searcher cards. You have, some general removal cards, good rush cards, good blockers, good 2Ks. You have really strong board spam with both these Ivankovs and this Koala here. And then the 4-drop Karasu, I think this card is literally ban-worthy. I can't even lie. And then you have some other removal with Lindbergh, but the leader effect in of itself is so strong. Just trash a card from your hand, give 3 characters plus 3 God. But this leader effect is so strong. Just trash a card, and then you get free 9k total power, up to 3 characters, which is just disgusting. in my opinion. But regardless, congrats to Diz for the top 32. I mean, I was not expecting to see this whatsoever. I wanted to show this off. A crazy, absolutely insane top 32 Snake Man list. And you can already tell it's crazy. It's like pretty much pure Don Quixote. And you can also see no Bond Clay. And I mean, I just don't really understand. I definitely want to try this deck out. If y'all do want to see me play this deck, I mean, let me know in the comments. I'll 100% make a testing session of it, 100%. But I mean, it's Snake Man, just with some funny stuff in there. You're running 4 Dofi rather than, you know, Mihawk, the general Mihawk, the 8-drop Luffy. You're really, other than that, it's just one of this. But I mean, it's really, I think it's definitely just optimizing, you know, crazy board value on late turns. You're going Sanji into Dofi into Resonante, trash an event, draw 2. You're also running some crazy events like Lead Performer Disaster, draw a card, ramp and active. That's pretty good. White Snake, once again, I'm surprised this card came up like in Nats as much as it did. I was definitely not ready for it, but just congrats to Eric for top 32 with this monstrosity of a list. I definitely want to try this out in the future for sure. Alrighty, so I wanted to shout out my boys GTS and Frijoles. Top 32 finishes. They are people that I know personally, and Frijoles actually goes to locals that I go to, so that is huge, you know, representing the city. But I just want to, you know, show their crazy, you know, top 32 finishes. I mean, first off, GTS's Snake Man, it's just a general Snake Man list. I mean, Sorjuro at 4, Bond Clay at 4, only 2 Rosante, which I thought was interesting, but I definitely can understand. I mean, there's not as many events going on in this deck compared to most. You know, you're only running like 1 event tech option, but other than that, I mean, it's just a very general, generic, you know, what you would expect Snake Man to look like. But regardless, huge props to GTS for, you know, killing it in the Nats tournament. Of course, my guy Frijoles, you can see already some absolute cooking there. No Kid Killer. I have not talked with him about any of it, but he told us that Kid Killer is not good. But I would definitely have to check his reasoning behind it. But the Duke Brook, I can definitely see it. If you say you play this off of the 4-cost Luffy, this is already a 6k, so if you're up against like Green Zoro, on their 5-don turn, they have to swing 8 at it. So it's only an 8k to a 6k rather than an 8k to a 4k. Rather, you know, you more than likely are going to be able to keep the body, rather than if you were to, you know, not have this off of here. But, you know, other than that, it's just a generic little Rayleigh list. I mean, you have 4 Rush Zoro, which I thought was kind of interesting, but that's really it. Just the Brooks and the Rush Zoro at a different number. Other than that, it's a super generic list, but huge props to my guy Frijoles for the finish. Alrighty, y'all, that is going to do it for, you know, the Nats Decklist Showcase. I mean, it's the biggest event of the year. I mean, I have to talk about it in some shape or form, but regardless, I have some pretty good stuff coming up for y'all soon. I was just on a couple week hiatus, just kind of chilling. I wanted to, you know, kind of lock in with the game, and then I just was like, I don't really want to anymore. So I'm just going to dial right back into the videos, hopefully make some great content for y'all. But if y'all want to see anything specific, let me know in the comments. I mean, I'm 100% willing to, you know, do whatever, you know, the community wants. But regardless, that is going to be it for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed, got some, you know, good little stuff out of it. We are out of here.